Have you ever been on a project that just felt chaotic? Right from day one? You know the feeling. Everyone's running around full of energy, but it seems like nobody's pointing in the same direction. It is one of the most common ways projects fail, and it almost always starts the same way.
The project's just been announced, and bam, someone's already ordering new equipment.
At the same time, someone else is scrabbling to hire new people for the team.
And you've got another group over here totally redesigning a workflow that's been around for years. All this activity, it feels productive, right?
Wrong. Just stop. Because without taking one single critical first step, all this action, all this energy is a recipe for disaster. You're setting yourself up for a spectacular failure.
And that failure? It usually sounds a little something like this, coming from your boss 6 months and a whole lot of money later. It's a total workplace tragedy. But here's the good news. It is completely avoidable. So let's talk about how to make sure this never, ever happens to you again. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to look at this all too common workplace tragedy. Then, I'll introduce you to your shield and your mandate. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of writing a letter of commitment that gets that big green light, understand the real power behind this thing, and then we'll peek around the corner at what's next, listening to your customer's voice. So let's put a name to this problem. This workplace tragedy is what happens when a team pours its heart and soul into a project, working weekends, making big changes, only to discover they were solving the wrong problem the whole time. They were flying completely blind. So how do we get our eyes open? What's the tool that keeps us from flying blind? It's called the Project Charter. And please, do not think of this as just more paperwork. Honestly, in the world of Six Sigma, they say a project without a charter is nothing more than an unauthorized gathering. Think about that. This document, it's your shield. It's your executive mandate.
So what is it really? A project charter is a short, formal document that does 3 absolutely critical things. First, it sets crystal clear expectations for everyone. Second, it's your North Star. It keeps the team focused on the real goal. And third, and this is so important, it formally hands over control of a process from the leadership to the project team. Basically, it's your license to operate.
Okay, so how do you actually create one of these things that gets approved and has some real teeth? I want you to think of it as writing a letter of commitment to your leadership. And there are 3 keys to getting that all-important green light.
Key number 1, and honestly, the most important one, is the business case. This is where you answer the big question. Why should anyone with a budget actually care about this? And you have to answer it in the only language that really matters to executives.
And that language is money. You have to translate pain into dollars. Look, don't just say, our quality is slipping. No, you say, this quality issue, if we don't fix it, stands to lose us $2 million in customer orders every single year. See the difference? When you talk dollars and cents, you get their attention. You get resources. You get the project approved.
All right, key number 2 is a surgically precise problem statement. The business case gets their attention, but the problem statement proves you know exactly what you're doing. Vague statements are your absolute enemy here. And this table just says it all, doesn't it? We need to improve quality is, well, it's a wish. It's not a plan. But over the last 6 months, the defect rate on line A shot up from 2% to 8%, and that's costing us an extra $50,000 every month. Now, that is a diagnosis. It tells us where, when, what, and how much. There is zero room for confusion there.
And that brings us to key number 3, defining the team and resources. And this isn't just about making a list of names. This is about establishing a clear chain of command and formal authority for your project.
Your charter has to spell out who's who. Who is the project champion? That's the executive in your corner. Who's the black belt leading the charge? Who are the green belts and team members in the trenches? And who actually owns the process you're trying to fix? Getting this down on paper up front saves so much headache and confusion later on.
So here's where it all comes together. Once you've nailed these 3 keys, the business case, the problem statement, and the team, and you get leadership to sign off on it, your charter completely transforms. It's not a plan anymore. It is an official, approved mandate. This is the document you pull out when somebody gives you pushback. It says, look, the people at the top of this company want this done.
Okay, so with that approved mandate in your hand, let's talk about the real power of the charter. Because it's not just about starting off on the right foot, it's about building a rock-solid foundation for the entire project.
It really just boils down to these 3 things. The charter forces you to get real, genuine buy-in from your executives right from the start.
It creates unbreakable alignment so that every single person on your team is pulling in the same direction. And maybe most importantly, it gives you the authority to actually get stuff done, to push through the roadblocks you're definitely going to hit.
So you did it. You got your charter approved, your mandate is clear, your team's ready to roll, you are set up for success. But there is another classic trap waiting just around the corner, and that leads us to what's coming up next.
Think about it. You got the boss to sign the charter based on their problem, but is their complaint the only voice that matters? Is that your true key performance indicator? In our next explainer, we're going to dive deep into the voice of the customer and how you make sure you're not just solving your boss's headache, but you're actually solving your customer's real problem.